Hello and welcome to another episode of the Business Spotlight series. My name is Claudia Thompson, and today I'm here with Cressida Granger, the current owner of Mathmos, the company that invented lava lamps in 1963. And you still make them, and you're based in Poole, and you've been the owner since 1989, I believe. So why don't you start and tell us how you got involved with lava lamps?
Well, hello. Yes, I have been doing this quite a long time, and I got involved with it first of all because I was a vintage dealer dealing in 1960s and 70s furniture and lighting in London, and I came across lava lamps and thought they were fab. And there was a number on the box. I bought some old ones, and there was a number on the box, and it was from the town I'm from, which is Poole in Dorset. So I called the number, and they were still going. So I ended up buying some for my stall in Camden Market, and they sold crazy well. So I and another antique dealer approached the owner of the business to buy it. Well, initially to buy the formula, which he didn't want to sell. So he was looking for a solution for it because it was tiny wee at that point, and he was an older man. So we started running the business, and the idea was that we would buy it from him over years with any profits that we made, and that's what happened.
Yeah, fantastic. And I love the story that you just followed your gut. There was something that you were passionate about, so you said, let's just call that number.
That's right.
Fantastic. And you, as you said, so you've been going for over 34 years. So what would you say is the secret to a long living business like yours?
Well, never give up, I guess, is the first thing, because obviously lots of trials and tribulations along the way. So, I mean, sometimes you do need to give up. I guess you need to know when to give up and when not to, but I think essentially it's having a bit of staying power and, just plowing on through the hard times and making the most of the good times.
Fantastic. Thank you. And that's a really, really good tip to just keep going, because things probably will get tough at times.
For sure.
Love that look there. And what qualities do you look for in employees, so in the team that you build around yourself?
Well, I think a good team is a mix of people. So it's, I mean, in general, in Mathmos, we have very nice people. We have people who get on with others. We have people who are good at their jobs. I hope they enjoy their jobs. We have people stay quite a long time, so that's a good sign. And I look for people that will fit in, that I like, that seem to be reliable and engaged. I look for people who stay in jobs rather than flit about every 10 minutes. And a mix. You need some people who are, more sort of steady, and some people who maybe are, bringing more to the party for a shorter period of time. But in general, I prefer people who are steady.
Yeah. And what would you say have been your biggest learnings as an employer since you began in business?
Golly, so many things, and obviously there's so much to learn, and also it changes all the time. The notion of being an employer changes with a new generation, with new laws. It changes all the time, so you kind of have to be on top of the changes. I'm not claiming to be on top of the changes, but one should be. I don't know. I mean, I think go with your gut on choosing people is probably, I've normally found that the best way, but not always. And, to remember this is people's jobs. It's not their life. This is my business, but it's their job. And, I can't expect the same thing that I would if it were their business. So just trying to remember that. And I'm quite old-fashioned. I quite like boundaries around work, not to call people in their holidays or out of hours, or and try and respect the rest of their lives as well.
And you touched there on the balance between personal life and work life for your employees. How do you balance those two for your own life?
Oh, well, mine's much more of a mishmash. You know, and you never have it right, never have the right balance between all of the aspects of one's work and life, I think. So always a struggle to try and get the balance right. Obviously, I've been doing Mathmos a very long time. So it is now for me, you know, the amount of time I've been doing it and for my age, it is about trying to balance life rather than ploughing absolutely everything into Mathmos as I used to do when I was in my 20s.
So you make sure you ring fence that time off for yourself.
Yeah, where possible. But obviously, you know, there's times when, you know, as the owner, that, you know, it falls to me.
Absolutely. And if you put yourself back all these years back into 1989, what would you tell your younger self? What piece of advice would you give yourself?
I think when you start out, you think it's going to be kind of linear. You think growth is going to be linear. You think everything is going to be linear, but it isn't. It's, you know, it's up and down. And there are different rewards at different points, you know. So maybe at some point your reward is the money. Maybe at other points your reward is a sense of creative achievement, and another point it might be the sense of having created jobs. You know, the rewards come in different ways at different points, and you have to try and hold on to what the reward is at the time, and see it more as a journey rather than a linear thing.
And would you say that that reward changes like according to your age? So when you were younger, would you say, oh, it was all about the money, and then later it became more about that creative fulfillment?
Not really. It came when it came. Unfortunately, I wasn't always in control of it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you have to kind of take your opportunities when they present. It's not all in your own gift. So just try and, obviously, you try and shape it the way you want, but it doesn't always go that way. So I've just, you know, tried to enjoy the bits that I can as I go along.
Yeah, fantastic. And what do you think are some common misconceptions that people have about running a business?
I think people often assume that when you have a business, you know, it's your time is your own. So you're so lucky you can, you know, you can do whatever you want when you want, which is true a little bit. But you're also sort of beholden, of course, to your business and the needs of your business and your staff, your customers all the time. So it's not really like that. And of course, you know, most businesses fail, don't they? You know, there's a lot of very sad business stories where people plow an enormous amount of themselves into something and it doesn't work out. So I think, you know, the qualities that, you know, you need to make a successful business aren't necessarily the ones that you might need to be a successful employee. They're just different. A certain amount of bloody mindedness is probably useful.
And keeping all those statistics in mind, I think it's over 80% of companies that don't make it past the first 5 years. What advice would you give a business owner that's maybe a bit nervous or anxious about their future and whether they will make the cut that survives the first 5 years?
I think it's just being realistic about, I mean, it's all about managing risk, isn't it? Being an entrepreneur. It's about thinking about just thinking through the scenarios, thinking ahead, thinking what's going to happen. And sometimes you do need to look at the worst that might happen. If the worst happens, where will I be? What will this mean? And then if you can cope with that, then why not go for it? You know, but I think it is quite a good idea to sort of think through the different scenarios rather than just plunging head in and saying, oh, this is my passion, I'm going to make it work, because, you know, might not. That having been said, you know, that's why it's great to start things when you're younger sometimes, because you just, you know, you have less to lose because you have more time available and you have maybe less commitments. But you know, it's also great to start things later in life, when you're maybe a bit more secure. So I would say go for it, but just plan it through, make a plan. It doesn't need to be incredibly detailed, but you do need to just think it through. How is it likely to pan out, and think through a few different scenarios.
Yeah, fantastic. And yes, I completely agree. Make a plan. Have at least a rough idea of where it is you're going, because then you're a lot more likely to get there than if you don't have a plan. Fantastic. Thank you so much. That already wraps up our interview. How can people find out more about you? How can they get in touch?
Well, mathmos.com, our website, and you find all the socials and things from there. And we have 10 websites all over Europe. So yeah.
Wow. So it should be impossible not to find you. Thank you so much for your time today.
Many thanks. Goodbye.